And a question that organically arises when we try to visualize the future, the digital future, is: are we ready for the brave new world? Please welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Miroslav Balkovic, the Dean of the Algebra University College, who will tackle that tricky question with his expertise and experience. Miroslav.
Thank you very much. Hopefully in this short I'll manage to at least make you think whether we are or not so much prepared. The agenda of these few minutes is kind of focused on what education should or could do in order to have better societies. 62 quote which was used by Kennedy when he wanted to persuade the administration and Congress to invest more in education, and I think it's still very kind of fresh and makes us think every day whether we do everything we could. So in the next few minutes I would like to talk a little bit about the influence of education to our societies in the past. I'll use a case of Croatia because I'm coming from Croatia and I know that we share pretty much sometimes same problems or same thoughts across Europe. So hopefully this is also useful to some of you, and a bit on the technology, but not too much on what we could expect in the future. So talking about influence of education and knowledge to our societies in the past, I will want to focus on 4 elements: on economic growth, on life quality, on social. Looking to the past, there were influence of knowledge and education on different areas of our lives. So in terms of influence on actually economic growth, the fresh data from Trilateral Commission, which were kind of exposed to the public somewhere, I think, in November and December last year, shows, according to the data that they prepared, how actually the wealth of the world grew mostly after the significant sharing of knowledge and Renaissance time, and then in the past maybe 200 years or so it pretty much exploded. The other kind of showcase of the similar kind of trend is one which was done and measured through a long period of 50 years almost by European Expert Network on Economics of Education, showing actually on this graph how tests on PISA in STEM and mathematics, because we didn't have PISA like 50 years ago, would account to growth of GDP. Each of these dots represent, and this is a regression which shows that basically points more on PISA in mathematics, the 1 point of GDP growth per year more. Croatia, for instance, in the past 30 years had average GDP growth annually of 2.3%. So it would for us mean 50% faster if we had better education. With PISA, you know that we measure pretty much results of primary education. It's being done at the age of 15 and a half. It's very important that there were no correlation between duration of education and growth of GDP. So you could invest in providing knowledge and your consequences in the economy will not exist. And on the personal level, from the same research, actually it shows that 1 additional year of education, if it brings really knowledge, and most of education should do it because that's the essence of why we do it, should account for some 7%, 7.5% more on the paycheck of the person. The third element from the same research which was done by Trilateral Commission is the expected life duration at birth in the past 500 years. So actually, unless you have been born some 100 years ago, you could have expected to live maybe 40-ish years. And now it doubled. It more than doubled in Japan and some highly developed countries, but even in those lagging behind countries, it also significantly grew as a result of knowledge and of what we now know, not only in medicine but also in other areas of our work. In terms of social insurance model, many of the countries, including ours, are still counting on a social insurance model which was put in place 125 years ago by Otto von Bismarck, in which actually those who are working are paying some social fees in order to sustain those who are retired. It's pretty much simple model. The problem with this model is that projection of old age people, those who are dependent, to those who are employed in European Union is such that in 2050, which is not so far away, we'll have 50% of those who are actually sustained by those who are working. Now we reached, the last data from 2017 is that we reached 30% as European Union, meaning that we will need as a societies to have more knowledge in what we do to make products and services with a higher added value in order to have enough money, to put it very bluntly, to actually sustain increasing number of those who will be dependent on those who are going to work. The prolongation of life and other things. And the last element, without me kind of doing any assertion of whether this, what I am going to show, was good or bad, to the place where it happened, shows just the correlation between education and some of the political decisions. So I'm not saying that the decisions were good or bad. I'm just saying that there was a correlation. So Brexit vote, when you look at the in UK, which voted to remain, they were blue, and those which voted to leave were red. If you look at the educational spectrum of the same UK, you will see that those with a less higher education, which are more to the yellow side, opposed to those which are very red with a bigger percentage of highly educated, have or had different opinion on what to do. Similar thing could be shown in administrational unit or county in UK was represented by a red dot, and then you could see that percentage of leave it was higher in counties where the number of people without education was higher. So this is also a regression which shows what happened. Similar in US elections in 2016, Clinton, you could see that the voters for these two options were different on the merit of their educational level. So basically, education has tremendous impact on the societies in all the aspects that you could imagine. Even F.D. Roosevelt some 70 years ago stated this last part in this kind of famous. So okay, in the Croatian case, I'm going to show you a bit of the demographic problems and on what we managed to do and what we didn't in order to actually see how we could have better societies. So basically there are two questions. One is demography and the other is how negative birth rate and negative demography could be actually treated with education to compensate for less of some people on the market. So these are headlines from our news, but basically after two censuses, 2011, 2021, we lost population, roughly half to who were born due to negative birth rate, and another half to those who actually work in other mostly European countries. And basically we fight this with importing foreign workers, of course, not to pretty much block the economy, but basically when you look at the occupations that we import and where you can easily import workers, these are those very low skilled occupations, a part of programmers and some of the digital occupations where we would like to get, of course, also these people to join us. And actually it's 120,000 people for a small country. It's a big number that we import every year. Out of these, unfortunately, only 0.4% are highly educated, meaning tremendous pressure on us to actually try to build a highly educated, high-skilled workforce to sustain our economy and our society here, because we are not able to get them from abroad, although and our demographic data are not also helping us a lot. This is public data presented by our Ministry of Science and Higher Education, open to everyone. There are a number of very detailed data. This one shows by the year number of pupils, cumulative number of pupils in primary schools in Croatia, and in 10 years we lost 6% roughly of primary school pupils in the whole country. Zagreb gained 10%, but pretty much some of the counties on the east lost like 27 or so %. In secondary schools, figures are even harder, so we lost almost 19%. Even Zagreb lost, although some lost more. And it happened in peace and in European Union for us in the past 10 years. So basically this is something that makes us think on how, as a society, as an educators, we could do more. So we already invest in our education 2% more than a typical European country. This is the spread of public budgets. According to Eurostat, it's also a nice data available for every country. In terms of investments in percentage of GDP, Croatia for the last year, where we have data, invested 5.4%. Typical European country invests 5%. So we increased investment significantly in the past 10 years. So in terms of kind of putting resources to the systems, yes, we are doing this. In terms of the results, although results very often lag behind the investment, but basically top performance in all 3 domains of PISA, we like to call or to think about those kids as actually talents. A typical European country would have roughly 3% of them in their population, and then we are at half of this number, meaning that we probably as a society could do more to get better numbers, or we could kind of put assertion on the table that our kids are born a bit stupid than the others, but this is not something that really happened. And actually, in terms of technology, because this is all digital summit, it's also one thing that we constantly kind of think about, and this is a problem which is not only specific to Croatia. It's use versus create in digital. So basically, there is a nice Eurostat ESOC research actually goes deeper into create in digital. So basically individuals who used any website or app to arrange a transport service in Croatia, if this is average in Europe, we are better users of this kind of technology, and this is a good thing. We are average compared to accommodation services online. Also in terms of networking, our typical citizen is pretty much average user compared to EU average. But then when we look at the production side, who is producing digital content or using tools that produce some kind of digital content, there is a different kind of case. Individuals who have written code in programming language in the past 3 months, so the list of the fourth floor of the campus, but we are now only focusing on the very bottom of the list. But basically, average European country would have 6% of those. Best country, which is listed some upstairs, would be at 12%, and currently not listed very high. So if we go to another one, saying individuals who have used work processing software, again, percentage overall is bigger in all the countries, but we are again not very well positioned. Same goes to individuals who have created files where they need to merge text, pictures, and other elements, and the similar goes to those individuals who edited videos, photos, and who are very creative. Here we stand a little bit better, but still lagging behind. So focus for our education systems and our institution is how to be more on the creative side than on the user side. And I'll explain why in my last few slides. Why is this so important? And here I'll kind of focus on two things: our jobs in AI era, and what is there for us to do. So let's see where IP development happens. This is a graph showing the trends in patents and applications in the past almost 130 years. And actually you will see that Japan and US was actually producing most of the IP and patents. And then Europe started, and then the others started. Now China has a bigger number than all the others combined, but it's normal because this is not normalized. This is just the pure number, not divided by the number of citizens. So a bigger country would have normally a bigger result, but Europe couldn't be very happy with its position because in terms of number of people, bigger than the US, it's bigger than the Japan, like 3 or so times, and still those are slightly better or much better than Europe is. And the question is where AI patents goes, and these are the top 20 companies in the past 10 years who got AI patents, who invested in this kind of intellectual property. You'll find Siemens as the only European company on the list, and this is something where we pretty much need to think a bit about, because marginal cost of producing additional digital product is pretty much close to zero. Meaning that if you have IP rights, adding additional users will increase significantly your company profits and income, but this will leave most of the area around as a wasteland, because all the money is pretty much being condensed to those who are creators of the products and who have IP rights. With AI being pretty much something that we see might change the curves on the labor market, we need to see where the knowledge in this area lies, and it doesn't lie in EU, which is disturbing a bit. So what will happen if this is not distributed in our ecosystems also? Well, this trend will be even worse, and this is the trend of growth of the wealth of household in the past 40 years in US and Europe, when we see that basically for 99.9% of the population, growth actually was at the level of fighting inflation. And for every 10,000 and every 100,000 citizens, this growth was significantly higher. So it means that we have in our societies pretty much big kind of distribution or divide between those who are earning a lot, and digital technology will help this become even faster than it was. Consequence is that in 2016 only 8 people possessed equal wealth as the poorest half of the mankind. Last year it was reported that it's not 8 but just 6. You can think about 6 people versus 8 billion people, and then half of this is 4 billion. 6 people possessing the same wealth as 4 billion. And digital technology will just help this get increased in the future, depending on where the knowledge and IP is positioned. And for the end of the presentation, a bit on AI. One of the top of the mind ideas when AI and digitalization is mentioned is for many, maybe this. Or if not, will it take my job? How my job will get maybe altered or changed? And basically what you can expect is that it significantly depends on what you do. This is one of the kind of research results showing where AI suppressed humans in some of the tasks. The writing recognition, it's pretty much that technology already in 2018 was at a human performance. In speech recognition, we are getting there, and pretty much now it's more or less there. In comprehension, I wouldn't say it's beyond what average human could do, but it's there. In understanding language and other areas, it's getting there. And some of the areas only started to develop in 2020 and 2022. So you need to think about the new kind of dots and new lines that are going to hit the graph in the years to come. And just think about how steep some of those actually grew. This blue is language understanding. Serious work started in 2018, and then a few years later or a few months later it's already pretty much there. So this will certainly change the position of machines on the labor market, and there are risks. So digitalization, as you have seen on these people who earned more money than the others, actually increased productivity, but basically it happened significantly for up to 35%, only in 5% of the best organizations, best implementers. Productivity also grew in others, but not so significantly, because if you change the way you do in implementing, I don't know, accounting software like 5 years later or 20 years later than others, then pretty much it won't help a lot. So you need to be kind of front runner. Until 2030, roughly 400 million people will need to think about how technology will influence their jobs, and they'll have to change the way they do their jobs. And 80% of jobs will not be significantly influenced by AI. That's what we see now. Maybe this will change, but pretty much that's what we see now. But for 20% of jobs, we are afraid that, or we think that maybe up to 50% of the tasks for the specific jobs will be affected by or will be automated. Many do not even consider today paying to translate a short text to English or to Croatian, because Google and other tools does this really good and for free. And tomorrow, accounting, part of law, medical diagnostics, and so on will be easily automated, because now we know that these simple tasks, which are kind of rule-based, could be easily automated. And my last slide is what are potential opportunities for educators in this kind of new digital sphere. First is that we need to understand pretty much what is position of technology and the people. So AI actually questions the old idea of comparative labor advantage as it was understood by actually economists not so far or so long ago, where longer education, to put it very simply, would pretty much put you in a better position in the labor market, and you would get more money or get paid better. But basically, now it's questionable whether you could compete with machines in learning everything, or you need to leave some places for the technology. Even Adam Smith, kind of in his work from 18th century, said that pretty much if you invest in education, you could expect that you will get gains from your investment which are comparable to the gains of the similar money invested in the market. And this doesn't anymore for all the occupations. So what we need to think about is that we should help our students to use technology because it's there to supplement what they do, that it's not a competition, it's actually another tool or another set of tools. As we understand that that it's easier to automate those rule-based works, then we need to focus on those where computers are not so good, like interpersonal skills and understanding people. Machine will become our scope, and to put this into our education timely. People will work less, and less people will probably work. And productivity and profits of companies possessing IP will grow. So we need to actually provide or produce IP and products in our societies. And careers and educational focuses should be wisely chosen. So how we kind of help younger people to pick or to select their careers is more important than ever. And I hope that today this event and all the energy that all of us are investing will help us think on what you or what we can do to actually help our societies in these times in front of us. Thank you very much.